Okay, guys. So now coming to the various issues in communication, like as we understood, that one of the major issues is that we have in communication process, like as we understood, the face problems, and then the messages get filtered. The messages get filtered. Just a moment. Okay, so the issues which we face is the filters and the barriers mostly. And when we talk about these registers, dialects, home language influence and interference, bias-free communication, disrespectful communication, all of these, they come under this category. Like how communication does not take place or cannot take place because there is a uh, there is a filtration process, so there is a barrier. Now what we can do is that filters and barriers, how do then we address this? We address this by trying to understand what is the nature of this filter, what is the nature of this barrier, and what is the communication outcome if these are not taken care of. Okay. So, issues in communication, then here we have registers, we have dialects, we have home language influence and interference, and we have bias free or respectful communication. Well, how many of you believe in respectful communication? And can you give me an example of that? Yes? Yeah. Sneha?
Respectful communication means we should means while communicating we must not say something which is offending to the other person or offending to the listeners. And examples like we are in classroom, we are interacting with teachers, and also when we interact with friends in that way, that can be examples.
Okay. Now, can you tell me if what other examples you can give? Because in the class, there is a power structure which is in play. Okay. There is a power structure which is in play. There is a power structure which is in play. dissemination of knowledge, and therefore and also culturally we respect our teachers because we come from the Gurukul tradition, and therefore for us teachers are very important, and this is in our culture. Like for example, my PhD supervisor, like he's a very renowned poet and Sahitya Academic awardee and all. So first of all, his stature is like that. I respect him a lot because he's so knowledgeable. He has so many accolades and awards to his credit. And now also, when I have become a PhD supervisor, I myself is a PhD supervisor of so many scholars. But still, then when I see my supervisor, my PhD supervisor, when I talk to him, when he calls up, I pay utmost respect, and I'm very respectful from within. It is not that I'm scared of him or I have to do that because it is in our tradition. From the bottom of my heart, from my internal system, I'm so respectful to him because he has taught me lot of things in my subject, lot of things how a student teacher relationship has to be, lot of things in building my knowledge base. And because of his strict supervision, because his strict guidance, his qualitative guidance, I am such a confident professor, I am such a confident PhD supervisor myself because I have been trained by him. So I have an equation. So here I do not mean by here I do not refer to power as any political power or any gainful power. No, I mean not that he or she can scratch my life or my career, not like that. But full of knowledge and who is transmitting the knowledge to someone who is younger generation, so there is a kind of intellectual power structure. Okay, so one is generally, one will be respectful, one will be humble and all. So this is one example. But Sneha, I would ask you to give me another example where there is a equal footage, there is a equal power play between two individuals or between two communicators or between two sides of communicators. I would also throw this question to the whole class. Yeah,
And
tell me.
like in any general debate like we see on television, although sometimes we see that it is ideally not respectful communication, but
Hmm.
ideally it should be respectful communication. And also generally when we are expressing our views about something, or when we are giving a feedback to something, suppose a particular thing is not okay, we are not okay, and we are giving the feedback. So in that case also we should give the feedback in that manner that it is respectful, but at the same
Respectful.
time, it is clearing the point. Yes, these
Yeah,
are the
yeah, yeah,
faults
right.
in your work or
Hmm,
something.
hmm, hmm, hmm. Just a minute. Yeah, actually, there are calls my father's death anniversary today, and coincidentally, my father's death anniversary, and today is my wedding anniversary. So there are many people who are calling me to wish me, and because they didn't know that I'm in the class. Anyway, I have switched off my phone right now. Okay, so yeah, Sneha. So of course, like when we are in conversation, it is not, even if there is no power structure, then we have to be respectful. Respectful in the sense we have absolutely no rights to offend a person. Um, I mean, in the pretext of whatever, right? But there are actually abusive and toxic cultures, which you know, which can be very, very offensive, abusive to human beings, and Indian culture, unfortunately, is one of them. Society in which women have to be rendered offensive, abuses, and behavior. Like I was looking at the fourth wave feminism yesterday, I was reading literature on them. Uh, I was little surprised, not surprised, to see, like in the fourth wave feminism of the world, the Nirbhaya case, the 2012 December rape case, which was making a lot of noise in the Indian scene, that has found a place, in the fourth wave feminism, how the feminist movement in India, was supporting the Nirbhaya case, and then the gang rape and all of these. So that was a very nice thing to see, that how women also of third world country or the developing countries are raising their voices against any kind of abuse. But that was an extreme case, like rape case. But then you remember the Me Too revolution, the Me Too protest, which also came to India, like I think a couple of years back. So, which means that women who have been abused in various forms, assaulted or not assaulted, but some forms of abuse, they are also protesting through some kind of movement. So, Me Too movement was also something like that. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that there are certain sectors in which people generally abuse other people. One is that race, the other one is complexion, the third one is caste. Caste is also area of issues that has provoked people to abuse each other. And there is another offensive area is the old age. I mean, people when they come across elderly people, abusing buddha and all of these. And especially if you have a boss, then they will call you buddha and all. So these are abuses, different kinds, which can be a disrespectful communication. Yes. uh, କୋଉଟା ସୁବ୍ରତର ଫାଇଲ ମୁଁ କରିକି ଆକାଉଣ୍ଟସ ରେ ସେମାନେ କପି ନେଇଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। ହଁ, ନେଇଗଲେଣି 5-6 ଦିନ ହେଲାଣି। Okay. Okay. Uh, there also can be offensive behavior or offensive uses against, physical and mental challenges if somebody is not physically fit or, has some kind of aberrations. And so those are also areas of abuse and disrespectful communication. So, disrespectful communication can happen anywhere, uh, in any communication event and context, whether there is a power structure or not. There is a power structure or there is no power structure, but still, it can happen that people behave badly with the other, and also disrespectful communication. So, therefore, we have to have Yes, Sahil.
Ma'am, actually, respectful communication is possible when there is political correctness in communication, because political correctness contains not only respect but also understanding and understanding the understanding the yes.
Just a second. It was a discussion on the academics. So all of you are writing in that what is going to happen and all of this. So this is one of the long conversation I had to do with the dean academics. Well, so coming back, um, coming back to what we were doing, yeah, Sahil was responding that okay, politically correct, should be the communication. But then, as I responded, it is like it is evolving, So political correct something is valid today will not be valid tomorrow. Example. Example, I think I have cited this example on my material and my part of my book also, that in the in the current tradition, if you for example you invite somebody to a function or a celebration or a party or something, then generally, in the Indian context, how do we invite people? That you please come with your family. Okay, very common, commonly accepted tradition in our society, in the Indian society. So if there is some kind of gathering or an invitation for celebration or something, so we always insist, okay, you please come with your friends and family and friends, or family, and bless us or grace the occasion or something. um, then what happens is the in a more informal location that the person is living with his wife or with his children. He might be living with their living partner or someone. There might be some differently, different gender orientation people who are living together. Okay, and I mean two men living together and stuff like that. In which, I mean, in which state, it will be very offensive for them to listen to you when you celebrate and your wife join the party, because he might not be living with his wife. He might be living with another man. I mean, I have this experience of becoming guest to a family in London, uh, and I thought that I will meet the man and his wife and his children. I didn't know about it, but when we were guest to someone's house, I found that there were a huge house near the Victoria Station in London, and very shocked and surprised to see that there are only two men who are in live-in relationship. So, I mean, I was little kind of, surprised, because this is not in our culture. I'm talking about 2003, when I was myself a student. So, it was such an embarrassing situation that I of course had to use my intelligence to avoid this thing. But then, this also can happen. What I'm trying to tell you is that this also is a possibility. So for us, it is not politically correct, or for us, it is not an accepted norm society to politically correct for us may not be politically correct for the other person. However, it's also true that there are certain things which are politically correct in all cultures and politically incorrect in all cultures. So that baseline is there. So anyway, so with that, now let's come to the remaining part of the first module, in which we talked about registers and dialects. As I mentioned in my last class, registers are the vocabulary or the set of words which we use, to communicate in the in our own branch of knowledge or in our own branch of studies. Now, when I am writing an essay, I will be using a lot of vocabulary from literature, from the different areas of literature, and then you will find that I mean you are not able to understand those words, those concepts, those expressions. You will struggle with it. Maybe you will look up at the dictionary and then read them and understand them. So, the principle in communication is that when we are communicating with people of our own branch of knowledge, we can use jargon, we can use registers, we can use the specified vocabulary which is used in a particular branch of knowledge, but then we cannot use it in a general communication scenario without doing much investigation into who are your audience, what are they looking for, what are they interested in, what are they vocabulary, they use some expressions which generally we do not understand, so we have to look up at encyclopedia, we have to look up at dictionary thesaurus, or maybe sometimes we google them and then we find out, okay, this is what is the meaning. So in typical good communication or effective communication, if we are using jargons, if we are using registers, then the audience will not be able to understand the meaning, and resultantly they have to struggle. So some who want very badly to understand the communication will look up at dictionaries, encyclopedias and all, but those who are not very deep into the communication will just give up and quit and will say, okay, no, nothing doing, because they are not able to easily understand. So while registers are issues in communication, this is from a perspective that if you are communicating with audience which are common, which don't belong to your profession, do not use jargons or do not use registers. If you are communicating with the people of your own branch of knowledge, your own profession, then use jargon because they will be able to understand. This is very simple. So therefore, indiscriminate use of register is not wanted, it is not required, it is not desirable for effective communication. Then we have how they influence by making you making the speaker speak the original language, means speak all the aspects of the first language and try to interfere into the acquisition of the second language. Now, if I am an Odia, I'm giving you a very specific example here. If I'm an Odia, the way I speak Odia, I'm likely to speak English also in that manner. Okay. So I will have accent. So I will have an Odia accent while I'm speaking English. So similarly, if you are from Tamil Nadu and you are speaking English, so you will speak English in a Tamil way. The way you speak Tamil, you will also try to speak English in the same way. So therefore, we will have a lot of accents. I will have Odia accent, you will have Tamil accent, somebody else will have a Gujarati accent, somebody else will have an Bengali accent. So we all will have different accents because our first language is not English. But if we are native speakers of English, then it becomes easy for us to, to pronounce, to understand, to have the stress pattern, to have the shift in the stress, the pronunciation, vowels, consonants, like how we use the consonants in English and how we use the consonants in Odia. For example, in Odia, we do not have the fricative sound. Okay, so for example, fiver or fast. Now in Odia, we have only the plosive consonant. We do not have the fricative consonant. So no, I mean, I'm just, yeah, phalo. Say phalo, pullo. Okay. Fu is a plosive, but fa is not a plosive. It's a fricative. So first, she was the first to speak. Now in Odia, I have to say, uh, in if I use the Odia accent, then I will pronounce it as no, she was past to speak or past to speak. So it's a pa. So pa instead of fa. You understand the difference. Now, if I'm speaking English as an Odia, so I'll say past. I will say C for SH is she, because in Odia we do not have a sh sound. So I will be using sa like like what should I say? For example, Ayush here, I will say Ayus. Okay. Then Akanksha, then I'll say Akangsa. Okay, like this, I'll make a mess of all this. I mean, I'm not able to explain it completely because my if I move between Odia and English, then I might make mistakes. But that is how we encounter or we come across very different problems if we do not understand how to switch on and off. Because speaking English, they are even worse than us. Their pronunciation is so very different that you're not able to understand what they are speaking. I mean, I taught a few batches of French students, English. So it was very difficult for them to learn English. They are all the languages because they do not have ta sound, they don't have don't da sound. So they do not have many sounds. For example, in Odia, we have an a sound, pani, okay, which means water. But in many North Indian languages, they do not have any sound except Punjabi, right? So they typically will say pani, but in Odia we say pani because we have an a sound. English does not have an a sound. English does not have a la sound. Follow. English doesn't have a pa sound, the one which I'm saying plosive, because the English plosive also is a little different from the Indian plosive. Okay. Well, so home language influence and interference can be an issue in communication, and also it can be a barrier. It also can act as a filter. So people get distracted to the different accents which you produce while you are speaking the other language. So that is how the communication is somehow, it doesn't make itself perfect or effective, because all these issues come in between. So they either delay the process or they hasten the process. So I will not be a perfect native speaker of English, but then I can minimize the way. Just a second. Hello. अच्छा तो ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ କାମ କେବଳ ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ୱାଶ ବେସିନର ଯୋଉ ଡକ୍ଟ ଗୁଡାକ ଯାଇଛି ସେଇଗୁଡାକ ସବୁ ଡିସକନେକ୍ଟେଡ ଅଛି ମାନେ ସେମାନେ ମେନ୍ ଫ୍ଲୋକୁ ଯାଇନାହାନ୍ତି ସେଗୁଡା ଆପଣ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖେଇ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ସେମାନେ ଫିକ୍ସ କରିଦେବେ ହୁଁ ତେଣୁ ଆମର ଯୋଉଠି ଯାହା ଭାଙ୍ଗିଛି ଏସ୍ପେଶାଲି ଯୋଉ ଏରିଆ ମାନେ ପିଏଚଡି ଏରିଆ ସେଗୁଡାକ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଟିକେ କରିଦେଲେ ଆଜି ତ ସେମାନେ ଫିକ୍ସ କରିପାରିବେନି ହଁ ହୁଁ ଇଡକୋ ଅଫିସର ଆସିଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ପଠେଇଲି ନା ହୁଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି ଠିକ ଅଛି ଆପଣ ଏବେ ଇନଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଟଲି ଯୋଉଟା ଫିକ୍ସିଂ ଦରକାର ହଉଛି ସେଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ଦେଖାନ୍ତୁ ଆଉ ମତେ କହିବେ କୋଉଠି କୋଉଠି ଅଛି ମୁଁ ଏବେ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଅଛି ଆପଣ ମତେ କ୍ଲାସ ସରିଲେ ଫୋନ କରନ୍ତୁ Okay, so so we minimize that so that people understand us when we are speaking English, and also people understand when we are writing English or writing any language which we are acquiring. Okay. Now coming to the dialects, which is what the English or the British or the BBC English is, and that is what is the general standard English for the from the English country. Now, English from England is the original, so therefore the others are called dialects. For example, the US and Canada, then Australia, then of course India and other colonies like wherever the British colonies existed, English has become a language with those people. Mm, so those, but then largely, majorly the dialects of English would be four or five kinds. Take the case of the Indian languages, we have, I mean, the Hindi language, of which we have several dialects. Like as I said in the last class, there are Bhojpuri, Maithili, Magadhi, and what else? I think these are the three important dialects. Then, bias free communication. So, coming to bias free communication is again communication which does not include any biased comment or biased reference. So, biasness can occur in three and four major areas. One is that in the domain of race, caste, creed, color, ethnicity. So with this, people can be very, very biased. Context. So first of all, they are black. Then that is the racist biasness, and there is again the women. So black women became the target of double abuse from the white people. If not abuse, double offense, then pushing them to the side and marginalized because they are first of all women, and then second is that they are black women. So while there was communication between the white and the black, so there have been offensive remarks and the voting rights, then I mean women in the mainstream not accepted because there was a lot of issues regarding that. Then, of course, white men and black men, because they are black, they have been pushed to the corner, marginalized. They have been the target for all lowly paying jobs. Okay, so these also are the problems with the biased communication. Now there are two things here you have to understand. One is that there is a biased phenomenon, means there is an event going on which is biased. There is a perception problem. There is biasness, pretty much prevalent, pretty much existent in the society, and there is a communication. So, communication happens because there is a phenomenon, there is an occurrence of biased behavior. Or as a response to this, we also become biased in our communication. So we have to ensure that while we are communicating, we do not use any kind of biasness in our communication. So biasness creed, caste, etc. Biasness on the basis of disability, then biasness in the form of any kind of intellectual, activity or quotient, right? So these are the major areas in which, gender and sex, of course. So we should not be sexist, in the sense we should not give any gender related comments. Say for example, if I mean, supposing I try to crack a joke with all of you and I say that, okay, girls behave well, otherwise you will be extinct. Okay. Or I make a comment that, girls do not drive cars well. This is a very, very highly sexist comment. Okay. Now, when I am making such a comment in the class, and then, it is a kind of light-hearted talk, or I'm sharing a joke with you, or I'm giving you a reprimand that girls, you try to improve, otherwise you are going to be, this. Recently, my I do not drive a car. Okay, I do not drive a car because I'm not allowed to. My husband doesn't allow me to drive a car because generally, I am into multitasking. Going through the traffic, and there was a L written somewhere in a car which was in front of me. And my driver instantly commented, must be a woman. Otherwise, this person cannot drive so badly. So I was so mad at him. I said that, what did you say? Sexist comment he has made. I said, never, never, ever utter this word that women cannot do certain things and women can or men can do certain things. It's not like that. It is because over a period of time, centuries, uh, men have been given certain works to be done and women have been given certain works to be done. So generally, women took the responsibility of household, children, home care, caregiver, and men generally, went out to work, to earn, to do other things and fend for the children. So because of this practice over a long period of time, the genetic coding also has changed. Okay. Because if you do something again and again, you will be good and skilled at that particular activity or a profession. Now, if you do not do that activity for a long time, you will not able to do that also with all, uh, you know, mm, effectiveness or perfection. So this is a fact actually. It's pretty much biological. But then this perception should not be there that women cannot do certain things. So this is also a kind of biasness. So race bias, gender bias, disability bias, these are the three important areas in which you have to take care. And so that is what one has to be very, very careful. Okay. So with this, we come to an end of module one. I give you some time to ask me questions, and maybe I'll take a little more time than 1 o'clock because I have been having ask me any questions about communication, and I would love to answer. Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes.
could you please tell us about interference?
Interference, yes. Interference. Sneha, I'll come to you after I answer Pratisha's question. So, sorry. Tara? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, Pratyush, just 1 second. Uh, Rishikesh, I'll also come to ask you, I mean, answer your questions. ସେଠି ଯୋଉ ଗ୍ଲାସଟା ନାଇଁ ସେଠି ରଖିଦିଅ ଦେଇକି ଯା My God, this is crazy. ବିଦ୍ୟା ମୋ ଫ୍ୟାନ୍ଟା ଟିକେ ଅନ୍ କରିଦେଲ ଅଳ୍ପରେ okay, it will have influence, and all of us, all Indians, barring a few who have been born and brought up in native the home language, means it is in a milder form. Milder form means I will have an accent which is Odia accent, or I will have. But when it interfere means you cannot do mental translation, you do not know how to articulate a syntax, you cannot use the grammar of the second language. So it comes to interfere, it comes to uh, create disturbances, ruptures and fissures in your articulation of the second language. So if we say influence, it is in a milder form. If you say interference, means it is going to interfere, like how the two different networks interfere into each other. So make some changes, modify things, and not allow it to happen. So that is what is interference. Okay, so is it clear, Pratyush?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Sneha, you had a question.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. I was asking that when we are categorizing in that home language influence, that this is a particular Odia accent or this is Bengali accent, ma'am. In this means in this process, ma'am, aren't we
The coming to disturb our second language acquisition. So it is not derogatory or biasness, but what minimize. So, say for example, when a child is learning three, four languages at a time, you will observe that a child speaks better in much better way and also learns in a much better way than an adult. Okay, so a child, can switch on and switch off very, very fast and like in a very fluid manner, very polished manner, very nicely glides from one language to another. So it is not actually offending any language, but then trying to minimize the home or the first language into the second language, right? So generally you will see, like for example, if you have heard Pranab Mukherjee
Yes, ma'am.
when he was the president of India, so he used to speak English, okay, and when Pranab Mukherjee would speak even at least 5% of it, I don't understand because he has such thick Bengali accent. Now you look at Mamta Banerjee, the kind of accent which she has while she is speaking English. I mean, we get very WhatsApp mimicry and memes, like how she speaks English, especially during the lockdown, her speeches used to come. So, what I'm trying to say is that it is not to make these people, I mean, not make them inferior. I mean, they are not that they are inferior to us because they cannot speak English, but while we are communicating, it is important that we minimize the influence and interference of our home language. And how can we do that? We can do that by conscious exercises of learning how the sound system of the language works, understanding the pronunciation, understanding
Differentiating the accents and then minimizing the influence
yeah,
in the first
yes,
second language.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Got it, ma'am.
Ah, yes, any other question? Right. Now, Rishikesh, you want to find out about the college reopening. What is that you want to find out?
Uh, as in noticed, it is said that after 14th onwards we can join classes,
You can
offline
join.
classes.
Yes, yes.
Then
Not offline
we
classes. No, no, no. Rishikesh, if you see that,
hybrid model. Sorry.
I wrote there that you can now come to the campus. Okay. Now, I have never mentioned that the classes will be offline. So
Okay.
you wait, yeah, you wait until just now. That is what I was talking to the dean academics uh, in the class when I mean in this class itself. So probably he will communicate to you. I mean, right now, pakka online, because when you come here on 14th and you start coming onwards, 14th onwards, so you will arrive at the campus, and after that we will see, we'll make an assessment of the situation, and then we will tell you whether we are going offline or not. Okay.
Ma'am, we don't have option because 10 tickets are already booked and there are many waiting. So we have seen up to 21 date. We are not getting any seats.
You come whenever the I
Ma'am,
mean,
actually, the problem with me is that I am getting the disconnect
so I also have requested the dean academics that not to start offline classes immediately because I know that there will be problems with tickets. Okay. And just because the mad government is one day saying you ask the, I mean, you close all the institutions and then again you open the institutions, ours is not a state college. Our is a institute which is getting students from all over the country. So I do not appreciate the stupidity also, but then we do not have a choice. So all of you come from 14th onwards, and then in between, you can come slowly whenever you get tickets. And when we see that students have comfortably come to the campus, then we will think of the alternatives.
Ma'am, one more doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, can we come directly when offline classes start? Like when we
That,
get the notice?
yeah. See, that is what we are working on today. So I think Dean Academics has called for a meeting. So maybe after that he will communicate to you. Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, but offline classes will definitely start, so we should start booking tickets.
Huh, it is going to start, but when, that is what is going to be decided. So you wait until today evening. I'm sure the academic office will communicate something to you by the end of today. Okay.
Ma'am, and this should not happen that last time we came for only 10 days and returned back. So it was means very difficult for us to get return tickets.
Yes, ma'am, we would be definitely returning back to our hometown.
The government decides for us, then we have to go by that. But then let us see that one thing we can save the students is not to make them forcibly come for physical classes. So that is one advantage which we have with us. Okay.
Ma'am, will you please notice us before 1 week?
Absolutely. Don't worry. Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Now let me take down your roll number. So
Ma'am,
please, yeah, tell me.
ma'am, actually, I want to say that I have an health problem because I have to operate my both eyes. So I want to drop this
Why?
semester.
Why?
Actually,
Why? My God.
keratoconus of both eyes.
What happened to your eyes?
Ma'am, keratoconus. It is. I don't know how happened it disease because it has no any. Uh, I cannot cure it without operation. So I have to operate my both eyes.
I mean, you can see now.
Yes, ma'am. I am able to see, but the doctor asking that it can cause blindness.
Oh, okay. You take care. Don't worry. Don't worry at all. First is health, so you don't worry. Hmm.
Ma'am, yes.
You
So
write to me. You write to me whatever you request me to do. I will
yes, ma'am.
definitely. I'll definitely help you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can I drop this first year?
First year.
Yes, first semester only because I need, I think 1 month I need.
So why don't you do it on the summer vacation? Doctor's
Yes,
report
ma'am.
and the
Yes,
doctor's
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
advice. Okay, I will forward it to the dean
Yes, ma'am.
academics, and then I'll put a request for you. Then let's see what he decides. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So let me quickly take. I have taken until Satej. Satej 15, roll number 15. Satej, are you there? Okay. Tarun Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Cosmos Tirki,
Present, ma'am.
Rishikesh Ramesh,
Then, ma'am.
Harsh Mishra,
Present, ma'am.
Horst Lohana,
Present, ma'am.
Jami Bisal,
Present, ma'am.
Jaideep Acharji,
Present, ma'am.
Parimi Upendra,
Present, ma'am.
Raja Naik, Raja
Present,
Naik,
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Kirti Padhi,
Present, ma'am.
Pratyush Ajay,
Present, ma'am.
Mayan Pradhan,
Present, ma'am.
Meenakshi Sahu,
Present, ma'am.
Monalisa Panda,
Yes, ma'am.
Mridul Tripathi,
Present, ma'am.
Naisargika Subudhi,
Present, ma'am.
Naisargika Subudhi,
Present, ma'am.
Pratyush Priyadarshan,
Present, ma'am.
Prayas Taha,
Present, ma'am.
Ravi Shovesh, Rituparna Senapati.
Present, ma'am.
Yeah, I've seen your this thing. Roshan Das, Rudradev Pradhan,
Present, ma'am.
Rudraksh Gupta, Rudraksh Agarwal,
Present, ma'am.
Samir Ranjan Sahu, Sangdil Biswal,
Present, ma'am.
Sanjeev Sethi,
Present, ma'am.
Saroj Majhi,
Present, ma'am.
Satvik Parida,
Present, ma'am.
Satvik Parida,
Present, ma'am.
Sivakshi Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Sobhan Parida.
Present, ma'am.
Yeah, Ravi Sovesh, I have marked you present.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Shruti Swarupa,
Present, ma'am.
Sneha Mandal,
Present, ma'am.
Somesh Mohanty,
Present, ma'am.
Sudhanshu Kumar, Suman Priti Gilwa,
Present, ma'am.
Aman Sharma,
Present, ma'am.
Anuj Baloria,
Present, ma'am.
Kumar,
Present,
Vivek
ma'am.
Present,
Mishra,
ma'am.
Yogesh Mundra.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Excuse
So,
me, ma'am.
yeah, Sudhanshu Kumar Idhi, I have marked you present.
Okay,
Ma'am.
ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Can you
Ma'am.
just read the names
Sudhanshu,
who are absent so we can confirm
yeah,
that we
name sir absent is Anshuman.
Am I present? Aditya Sahu.
Who? Adiras Sahu, you are coming after how many days?
Long time.
Huh? Long time. So I will fail you anyway. Rudraksh Gupta. Boyapati Satej.
Ma'am,
Present, ma'am.
actually,
My mic is not working.
Who? Satej.
Ma'am, Rudraksh.
Then Sudhanshu Kumar. Sudhanshu Kumar. Okay. So thank you very much for joining the class. Go and have your lunch. Okay. And I'll meet with you next class.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.